tradition of our disciplic succession is for the acharyas or the gurus to write literature based on the Vedas, on the Vedic knowledge, and to distribute that literature, because hearing transcendental knowledge is considered to be the most important thing for us to remain inspired and become more inspired in our spiritual lives, conquer over the attachments and aversions of the materialistic mind, purify the intelligence. And because it's explained that Krishna is absolute, he's present in his name, he's present in his words. God is like that. Anything that's directly related with God, he's personally there. That's why we chant the holy names, because Krishna is there. And we like to keep chanting because once one gets a taste of that presence, then one just doesn't want to stop. One wants it more and more. So it's the same with this transcendental literature. Krishna's words, or that transcendental sound vibration emanating from the spiritual platform, that's not different from the Lord himself. So this message is of the utmost importance to us. So when Prabhupada was in India with his spiritual master instructed him on a number of occasions to speak this philosophy in the West. And he said, if you ever get money, then print books, understanding how important the transmission of this knowledge was. So Prabhupada held that order very close to his heart. And before he could come over to America at the very ripe old age of 70 years, he began translating the Vedic literature. So when he came over to the US after so much difficulty, his heartfelt desire was to publish this literature on a wide scale. Previously he had been doing it all by himself, writing Back to Godhead magazine, going to great lengths, great difficulty to publish it and distributing it himself. Very, very difficult task. But he was so dedicated to the mission of the spiritual master that he wanted to do this over and above anything else. So when he came to America, he brought some books with him, not that many, and he had in his mind to somehow or other publish these books and follow the instruction of the spiritual master for the benefit of all the people all over the world. So when the movement got underway, Prabhupada inspired the devotees to edit his books so that the American people could understand Prabhupada's English, and to publish these books. So the devotees were able to do that under Prabhupada's guidance. And so at one point in the early 70s, the warehouse was filled with books. So Prabhupada's dream came true, almost. Prabhupada had to remind us that there were books filling up the warehouse and they weren't going to get distributed by themselves. That we needed to distribute those books. And because we knew that Prabhupada did everything, sacrificed all of his time, sacrificed his health, sacrificed his life to write these books, get them published, we couldn't say no. At the same time, we couldn't figure out how to distribute all these books. There were little books, or there were magazines like the Back to Godhead that we were distributing as we were chanting Hare Krishna on the streets. Some devotees were distributing books, Back to Godhead, some devotees were chanting, and we'd switch after a half hour. And I remember the first time devotees asked me to, I was a devotee for 2 days, they said, okay, now it's your turn to distribute Back to Godhead. And I practically had a nervous breakdown because I was a shy type person, I still am. I don't have nervous breakdowns anymore, but it's not so easy. So And many devotees were like that, but we knew how much Prabhupada loved us and how much Prabhupada sacrificed for us, so we knew that we just had to do everything and anything to try to satisfy Prabhupada. So I distributed back the guided magazines. Then it came to the point where the warehouses were filled with actual books. And devotees had no idea how they were going to distribute these big books. George Harrison donated a lot of money to publish the Krishna book, a big hardback volume, and other books as well, Bhagavad Gitas. And Prabhupada kept imploring us to distribute these books. And devotees were, not that we were reluctant, we just didn't know how to do it. So it was such an important thing to Prabhupada that somehow or other we started going out trying to distribute his books. One devotee distributed 2 books, went all around the movement. We were so excited. Then another devotee distributed 5 books, and another devotee 10 books, and then 20 books. So this inspired all of us to start going out, trying to distribute Prabhupada's books. I remember just pushing myself like anything to go out. We're going door to door and trying to enliven people. Imagine, for those of you who have never done this, going up to someone with a big volume of literature, someone you never met before, and distributing that, inspiring them to take that book. That obviously had a spiritual import, and give a donation for the book. Such a difficult thing. But because Prabhupada wanted it, we kept trying and trying and trying. And the more we tried, the more successful we were, and the more mercy we got. And that mercy came in the form of transcendental realization, detachment from the material world, more affection for Krishna, more affection for devotional service, more affection for Srila Prabhupada, and more affection for the people that we were distributing the books to. Very sweet connection every time someone took a book. And that sweet connection with Srila Prabhupada just increased more and more and more. And Prabhupada was so pleased. We saw that nothing pleased him more than this. And there were times when that's all Prabhupada would talk about. He would be so happy with the devotees. And he'd congratulate us for doing such nice work, because this was his life and soul. That's what Prabhupada worked so hard for years, to fulfill the order of his spiritual master and get these books written, published, and distributed. So Prabhupada would be so happy, and then he would say, now double it. And we would go, double it. Unbelievable, double it. So then we tried that much harder. And somehow or other, by Krishna's mercy, we were able to double it. And Prabhupada was so happy. And then what would he say? Now double it, ladies and gentlemen. Double it. And we didn't know. And another occasion when Prabhupada wanted his Chaitanya Charitamrita to publish the whole set, published in 3 months, Ramaswara said, it's impossible. Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. And sure enough, published it in 3 months, the whole 17 volumes, including all the artwork, all the editing, everything. 17 volumes, 3 months. So he'd accept that answer, but he'd come back the next day. Why don't you go out just a little bit? Every day he would approach me like this, and I would say no. Finally I said, okay, I'll go out. He said, yeah, just a few hours, just half a day. So I went out, and I was at the airport distributing books. And when I came back, I was so enlivened that I was able to do twice the amount of service in half the amount of time. Because of the transcendental energy and enthusiasm and realization one gets when one is engaging in a service like this that is so dear to Srila Prabhupada. And I see it all the time nowadays too, when devotees go out and engage in this activity that is so dear to Prabhupada and its cyclic succession. And so, those of us who were there during Prabhupada's time, we felt that pushing from Srila Prabhupada, that constant pushing. In a loving manner, but always, please distribute my books. And I still feel it. I still feel it. It hasn't gone away. And I'm so thankful for Prabhupada, to Prabhupada for instilling that desire, that necessity within our hearts. And if somehow or other we as Prabhupada's disciples can instill that in your hearts, then you'll be able to help so many people. Because that's where religious principles are found in this day and age. In this Bhagavad philosophy, it's called the Brihat Mridanga. It can be heard, even though these mridangas are pretty loud. They can be heard a couple of blocks away, at least. But the Brihat Mridanga, the Great Mridanga, book distribution, the books, they can be heard. They can be felt far and wide. So I just wanted to say how happy I am. I just came yesterday afternoon, but just to see all these young devotees here and see how enthusiastic you are. Because, and I see this all over the world, Ajamil Prabhu and I traveling and doing kirtan, and giving classes all over South America and North America. And we're seeing how these younger devotees are so enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness, and that gives us the faith that because we're not going to be around so much longer, but that gives us the faith that this movement is going to continue in the way that Srila Prabhupada wanted it. So I wanted to thank you so much for your participation in this retreat. Those of you who are here on the Pandav Sena retreat, I want to thank Anish Prabhu publicly for and all those who helped you for doing such a wonderful job organizing it. And I wanted to thank Srila Prabhupada for bringing all of us together. Hare Krishna.